Hello everybody, Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck centered around Mega Blastoise EX from Evolutions. I mean, technically, yes, the card was originally printed in XY, but it only became good in Evolutions with the Spirit Link, and also it got this really sick artwork in Evolutions. So we're just going to say that it is from Evolutions for the sake of this video. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you like this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. It helps us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, while you guys are watching this video, depending on your time zone, Pokemon Sun and Moon will either be like a day and a couple hours or less than a day away from being released. November 18th is a day. That is in 2 days. I am so ridiculously pumped right now for it. And the question of the day is based on that. If you are getting the games, which I'm assuming the majority of you guys are if you are into the TCG, when are you planning to get your game, and which game are you planning to start with? Really, with me, I may or may not have already pre-ordered Moon to be picked up at GameStop, like it was over a month ago that I pre-ordered Moon for GameStop, so that's going to be the first game that I play through, and I also may or may not have ordered Sun to be delivered to my house through Amazon because that was a little bit cheaper than GameStop, but I couldn't wait for Amazon to deliver it a couple days after. I had to get it the day of, so I decided to just go ahead and order it through GameStop. So I will be playing through Moon first and then Sun. Let me know what you guys are planning to play and why, and also, I guess, what Pokemon are you planning to start with? Honestly, this might sound really weird, but I kind of want to start with Popplio. I mean, I kind of want to wait for its stats to come out, although I'm not sure how much data mining they will be able to do in between now and when it is completely released. But I do like the final evolution. I mean, I know it looks like a mermaid and it's like, Sticks, come on, how could you pick something so girly? Well, I'm a big fan of the water fairy typing, and admittedly I like special attackers a little bit more than physical attackers. So, I mean, that's just me. Let me know when you guys are getting your game, and which Pokemon you are going to start with. Anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Mega Blastoise EX from Evolutions with 220 HP, so I mean, not overly bulky. I actually kind of expected Mega Blastoise to have around like 230 HP when it first came out. I mean, I understand that you don't want to make it overpowered, but Mega Blastoise is known for being bulky, so I would think that like 230, 240, right around there. But 220 is still very hard to deal with in the right scenario, and its attack is actually very good. Hydro Bombard for 3 water energy, so very specific, does 120, which, I mean, that's decent. 3 for 120 is you can work with that. But this attack does 30 damage to 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So that is Night Spear on steroids. That's even more damage than Audino's Magical Symphony, which won Worlds. Admittedly, the bench damage isn't as much, but being able to snipe 2 things for 30 is absolutely incredible. So I really do like this Blastoise, and I think it has a lot of potential in the right build. Now, you'll also notice that I am running one of the Generations Blastoise, and that is because the normal Mega Blastoise only hits for 120. I have been in a couple scenarios where I need to hit for more than 120, so that's why I put this Blastoise in there. Also has the 220 HP, same basic everything, except this one has Dread Launcher. For 4 energy, does 180. Flip a coin if tails, discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon. This guy, you really don't want to be using that much. I mean, it's good in some situations, but there's a reason I'm only running 1 copy of this guy in the deck. Also because, I mean, you're never going to get more than 2 of these regular Mega Blastoise powered up and going. If you do, that's a very rare scenario. Usually you just do 2 at the absolute most. So having this guy as a backup, really heavy hitter, works in a lot of scenarios, and that's why I put it in the deck. If you guys don't like that or feel that the regular Blastoise is good enough, by all means, throw in another copy of this guy. That's just me trying to cover all my bases and show you the different options that are available in this deck. As for the rest of the Pokemon, we're running 3 Shaman because Shaman is amazing and it gets us draw support. And honestly, this deck doesn't clog up the bench that much, so there is space for 2 Shaman. I mean, you really want to do 2 Shaman at the absolute most, but I mean, then you'd have like a Blastoise active, Blastoise on the bench, Manaphy, 2 Shaman, and a Hoopa. I mean, that's that's a full bench and is kind of an ideal bench in this type of deck, so that's why I'm okay with running a heavier amount of Shaman. 1 Hoopa, because this is an EX heavy deck, so playing down a Hoopa gets you a Blastoise, a Manaphy, and a Shaman, or whatever combination of those you want. Running 3/3 of Blastoise and Mega Blastoise. I'm using this Blastoise because, I mean, I love this artwork. I mean, Gyarados, Vaporeon in the background. I think that this promo, along with like the Charizard and the Venusaur, are just such sick looking promos, so that's why I decided to use these guys as the as the regular Blastoise for Mega Blastoise. And then I'm running 1/1 of Glaceon and Regice because this is kind of a watered down, no pun intended, version of Water Box, where you have the heavy hitter in Blastoise. Well, I mean, I guess the old heavy hitter was Seismitoad, and this is very reminiscent of, I guess, my Mega Gyarados deck. There we go. Mega Gyarados Water Box. This is just more geared towards making Blastoise the center of attention of this deck, as opposed to having the versatility of being able to power up multiple Glaceons or multiple Regice and stuff like that. But I still wanted to put these guys in the deck as well, just because they're such good utility in water decks, with Crystal Ray being able to shut down evolutions and Resistance Blizzard being able to shut down EXs. Those two just have such good attacks to where I could not pass up on them. If you would like to, then I mean, go ahead. Go right ahead. It is completely understandable. Again, just showing you the options, and this is what I like. I like having these options if we aren't able to get set up with our Mega Blastoise quickly enough. As for the energy acceleration, we are running 2 copies of Max Elixir and 4 copies of Mega Turbo. This was the line that I tweaked the most while testing this deck. I mean, I started off with I think a 3/3 of Max Elixir and Mega Turbo, and then I think I also added 1 energy switch. But I mean, as I went on, I decided that Mega Blastoise needed the powering up more than regular Blastoise, Glaceon, and Regice, and so I didn't need the energy switches as much either. But at the same time, if that's something that you decide that you want, then you can definitely decrease the amount of Mega Turbos and also increase the amount of energy switches and Max Elixirs. Energy Switch is also great in combination with Manaphy for the Aqua Tube ability, getting all of our water Pokemon free treat. That way you can attach an energy switch and not waste your attachment for the turn. But this is a line of cards that is incredibly variable in this deck, and all comes down to personal preference and what you encounter and what you think you need a best prep for. So by all means, change that. This is just what I decided to go with. And you'll also notice that I do not have a Super Rod. That was not... At first, it wasn't a conscious choice on my part. It started off, I built this deck and started testing it and realized it was doing very well. And only once I started to look into it a little more and tweak things, I realized I didn't have a Super Rod. Well, I decided to just, I decided to say, you know what, screw it. Let's just go ahead and see how this deck works without a Super Rod. And truth be told, it works pretty well without a Super Rod. I mean, you have the 4 Mega Turbos to recover a lot of energy. Really, the Pokemon you're going to be discarding that you don't really need, so you're going to be having 2 Mega Blastoise, but honestly, get rid of a Water Energy if you want to throw a Super Rod in this deck, but don't want to tweak like the Max Elixir Mega Turbo Energy Switch line. This is just kind of I forgot it at first, but then I realized that this deck functions just fine in my experience without it. So again, up to you. I'm just letting you know my opinion. I'm running 1 switch because even though we have the Aqua Tube with Manaphy, sometimes you need to get out of paralysis, or you don't want to waste your energy attachment for the turn, or you don't have a Manaphy up or something like that. Switch is just kind of a cover all bases type of card. Throw that in there. If you don't need it, you don't need it. But if you do need it, it's nice to have 1 of in there. 4 Trainer's Mail to help with consistency. 4 Ultra Ball to get everything out. You could run Dive Ball, but this deck is very dependent on Hoopa and Shaman, so that's why I decided to go with Ultra Ball over Dive Ball just for the guaranteed cards. 4 not Trainer's Mail. I just said Trainer's Mail. 4 VS Seeker to reuse our supporters, and as for the supporters, you have my typical 3-2-1-1 line of Sycamore and Lysander Ranger. I decreased by 1 Sycamore because I wanted to throw in 1 Hex Maniac to shut down Carbink's Safeguard ability, because otherwise that kind of puts a dead stop to this deck if I don't have Regice. And also Regice is only a 2-hit KO, so I'd rather just play 1 Hex Maniac, be able to OHKO that thing, than to not play Hex Maniac at all. As for the stadiums, I'm running 2 Rough Seas to give longevity to my Blastoise, let it take hits more, live a little longer, that type of thing. And then 1 Parallel City to help disrupt my opponent, and also to have a chance against things like Rainbow Road and Mega Rayquaza and stuff like that. And then I'm running 3 Blastoise Spirit Links for the Mega Blast. And finally, I am running 11 Water Energy, although if you want to throw a Super Rod in, like I said, I would recommend getting rid of one of these energy and throwing a Super Rod in. But anyway, I have rambled for way too long. Let's just go ahead and see this deck in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Faldy Palace. Is that how you say it? Fodley? I don't even know. So, do we get the coin flip? Do we get to go first? Yes, we do. That is excellent for us. We would like to go first. There's almost... I mean, you can potentially attack going second if you get the right number of max elixirs and stuff like that. But honestly, it's not really worth it. And oh, goody, we start with a Shaman. That is exactly what I wanted, guys. That's what I wanted. Thank you so much. I love starting with Shaman. It's my favorite Pokemon to start with, in case you didn't know. But I mean, this isn't the end of the world. We have Hoopas. I mean, I would have liked to start with the Blastoise, but Shaman isn't. Okay, never mind. This is Yveltal. This is annoying. So let's go ahead and Trainer's Mail, see what we can get. Let's actually grab the Sycamore. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Play the Rough Seas down. Play the Water Energy onto Blastoise in case I draw into my in case I draw into my switch or something like that. And okay, I get a bunch of Water Energy. Well, I mean, this isn't bad because what I can do is first Trainer's Mail. Grab, Blastoise Spirit Link, so if I can Lysander in the Zorua, I can potentially attack. Otherwise, Fright Knight shuts it down, and then I could Ultra Ball to grab Hoopa, but I think at this point my best play is to just hold on to the Ultra Ball, and I can even Hex Maniac, play that down to knock out the Yveltal's Fright Knight, and then potentially go from there. Like if I get a Hoopa, if I Ultra Ball for a Hoopa, I can grab Blastoise, Mega Blastoise, and then a Manaphy or a Shaman. Actually, I think... No, it'd be a Mega Blastoise, a Shaman, and a Manaphy would be the best play, because then I can play... So I'd play the Manaphy down, play the energy onto the active Shaman, play the other Shaman down, and then Hex Maniac to be able to evolve into Mega Blastoise. And right now, all I'm seeing from my opponent is Pokemon that can get knocked out by Hydro Bombard and get the damage racked up by the 20 or the 30 that I'm able to put on the bench. And well, darn it, I still get my Hex Maniac, but my opponent is able to get me out of that hand. I actually really liked that hand, even though he got me an extra card. That really didn't help because the Ultra Ball was great for that situation. I mean, it's still fine. I will probably just have to waste my turn Mega Evolving, which is something the old Blastoise would have to do, and is not something the new Blastoise wants to do. He does get rid of my Rough Seas, so that's a little rough, but he does miss the energy drop for this turn, which is phenomenal, meaning that even if I am wasting a turn with my Mega Blastoise, then I don't think it'll come back to bite me overall because my opponent had such a slow start. And there we go. Okay, so I get another Blastoise Spirit Link. What I can do is go ahead, Ultra Ball, get rid of the Ranger, and get rid of the Lysander, I think, too, to grab a Hoopa, to grab probably Shaman and then Mega Blastoise. I think those are the only two that I really need. Well, first off, I need the Manaphy as well. So let's go ahead and grab that, not that Mega Blastoise, no. I want to grab that Mega Blastoise, the Manaphy, and then I think, yeah, the Shaman. The Shaman makes sense. And now it's a matter of, do I want to manually retreat the Shaman first, or do I want to play the Manaphy down? I think I'm just going to go ahead and play the Manaphy down. Go ahead and Ultra Ball, get another energy in the discard pile. That way I can potentially go for a double Mega Turbo, and then Shaman, hopefully draw into a Max Elixir or something to help my Blastoise get powered up even further. And I get the Mega Turbo, so, I mean, that's promising. That means I'll be able to attack next turn. And if I didn't have the... And if my opponent's Yveltal was not active, I would have just grabbed the energy switch, because that way I could retreat my Shaman, go ahead and energy switch onto the Blastoise, Mega Turbo onto the Mega Blastoise, and then start attacking with Hydro Bombard. But, I mean, because of the Yveltal, he does cancel out my... he does cancel out the Spirit Link. So, I mean, that's something for him. We do see the Octillery come out. That is pretty great for my opponent. I want to start targeting that guy down as quickly as possible, because that's his draw support, and if he doesn't have his draw support, he won't be able to draw anything and will not be able to beat me. So we do see the max elixir come down. Not sure. Yeah, I mean, unless... Okay, so my opponent just ends again. Darn it, I like that hand too. Oh, well. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Well, hey, that's especially not the end of the world. Do see the floatstone come down onto the Zorua. Yeah, just attaching to the active Yveltal. That's fine with me. Ooh, this is a great hand, really. So I'm going to go ahead and Mega Turbo onto my Blastoise on the bench. Go ahead and double Max Elixir. I could have Trainer's Mailed first, but I think, honestly, I don't need it that much. I mean, having it's always nice, and especially because I hit both of the Max Elixirs. And so my other Blastoise is not discarded yet. Let's go ahead and grab, I think, let's grab the Energy Switch, maybe? No, let's grab the Mega Turbo, just because I have the Dread Launcher one in my hand if I need it. And then let's retreat into the Blastoise. Go ahead and VS Seeker for the Lysander. Bring in the Octillery, and I should be able to go onto my... Well, I should have been able to Mega Evolve my Blastoise on the bench, but I honestly didn't need to because otherwise the Mega Blastoise that I would have put out would have been stuck. And, well, if my opponent managed to bring it out, and this Blastoise still has a 2 energy attack that it can use. Actually, it wouldn't have been stuck because of the Manaphy, so I don't know why I didn't bother Mega Evolving. Oh well, little bit of an oversight on my part, not a huge deal. I'm still in a fantastic position. I set up both of his Fright Knight Yveltals to be knocked out in one hit by my Hydro Bombard. Even if my opponent plays a Parallel City, I will still be able to knock them out due to, I mean, being able to do 100 damage as opposed to 120 is still enough. And my opponent is just going to Lysander, bring in the Hoopa. That's fine with me. I will just be able to attach the water energy to it, get that free retreat, and go from there. So let's go ahead and play the energy onto the Hoopa. Maybe. Yeah, let's play the energy onto the Hoopa. Retreat into my Mega Blastoise because I will be able to take a prize at the very least this turn. I'm going to go ahead and energy switch the energy from the Hoopa onto this Blastoise, and then I will go ahead and Mega Turbo onto my Mega Blastoise on the bench. And I forgot to... Oops. Forgot to Mega Evolve. Oh well. I mean, that was my one screw up for the live. I know that's... You guys are counting on that. I always have at least one screw up per live. Let's just go ahead and count that as it. But I'll go ahead and take the knockout on the Zorua, set up the other 2 Zoruas for knockouts next turn. And honestly, I could just Lysander in an Yveltal next turn and take 3 prizes with Hydro Bombard, assuming my opponent does not get an evolution or anything like that. So he does go for the Parallel City. Well, I'll still be able to knock out his Yveltal, and he gets the Sycamore, so he'll probably get a Zoroark this turn. If not, then we will be set up to take 3 prizes in one turn by knocking out the Yveltal. And it looks like... Yeah, he is just going to go ahead and pitch Black Spear. That is completely fine. He's going to go for the Manaphy. So what I think I'm going to do is... I can't even Mega Turbo, oops. What I am going to do is go ahead and Sycamore away my hand. Just try to get a Rough Seas or something like that, be in a better position. Set up my Mega Blastoise on the bench completely. I have an energy switch if I need it. Let's go ahead and Rough Seas. And I'm going to take 3 prizes this turn. Like, Hydro Bombard will be able to take that out. Is there anything else I can do? Let's go ahead and energy switch 1 energy from the Blastoise active onto the Blastoise on the bench because I don't need it. And my opponent just scoops. He knew that I was going to be able to take 3 prizes and he would not be able to come back for that. So, able to pull out that win very, very convincingly. Mega Blastoise coming through with the bench damage. And although you didn't get to see the Mega Blastoise that was on the bench, just know that he was there in our hearts ready to go. But yeah, that was a very good first match. Let's just go ahead and see if we can try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Killary Clinton. Oh my gosh, what a name. What a name, guys. We do get to go for the coin flip. We do lose. That's a bit unfortunate. Looks like we're up against a Volcanion EX deck with Baby Volcanion, so it'll be interesting. I mean, unless it's like a Typhlosion Octillery, but then you'd probably be running Talonflame, so there'd be a normal in there. So more than likely, this is just a fire deck with Volcanion and Volcanion EX. My opponent, well, took their sweet time to pick whether to go first. I mean, we do start with a fantastic start, and what I'm actually going to do, play the Manaphy down first. put the Manaphy in the active spot, and then put the Blastoise on the bench because I do have the switch, I do have the Max Elixir, so I can potentially get something else started immediately. I might even be able to go for Blastoise's attack, which does 120 and then 30 if you flip a coin. That's, well, 30 to yourself if you flip a coin in its tail. So, alrighty, there we go. Yep, this is a 100% of Volcanion EX deck, so given the right scenario, I could be able to take a knockout turn 1. If not, I mean, probably not, given how this deck is designed. This deck is more designed to get Blastoise up and going consistently than to attack turn 1 and do that type of stuff. So my opponent does start with a Volcanion EX active. That is great for me, meaning he'll have to burn a Float Stone or a switch to get that heavy guy out of the active spot. If he does not, then he will not be able to attack with his baby Volcanion, and that will just be a couple free prizes for me to take. Do see an Acrobike, and it's interesting that my opponent isn't running any Shaman or Hoopa or anything like that, because usually in a Volcanion deck you will see that type of stuff. And okay, my opponent runs Energy Retrieval. That's a very good card in Volcanion decks, especially with combined with Scorched Earth. So it's not a Skyfield variant, it's a Scorched Earth variant of Volcanion. I mean, that makes sense if you don't have Hoopa or Shaman or anything like that to take up bench spots. And honestly, my opponent is taking... Okay, so we see the Lucky Helmet. I guess that's how he's compensating for not having the Shaman or anything like that. And, okay, I don't understand... Well, I guess... Oh, yeah, that was my opponent's first turn. Wow, that took a while. Let's go ahead and Trainer's Mail for an Ultra Ball. Go ahead and play that down. Go get rid of the Water Energy, I think, and the Ultra Ball. I need the switch in case I want to attack. Let's grab that Hoopa. And then what I'm going to do is Max Elixir. Go ahead and see if I can hit it. Nope, I do not. That is fine with me. Let's play the Energy right there. Go ahead and Hoopa, probably for a... Well, another Blastoise for sure. You know what, let's do double Blastoise and Shaman. Fill up our bench completely. Both Regice and Glaceon really won't be doing much at all. I would rather be attacking with Blastoise than Regice in this matchup anyway, because even though Volcanion's REXs, it's not that big of a deal. And, okay, so I get Blastoise Spirit Link. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I think... I don't want to end because I don't want to give my opponent a new hand. So, because my opponent is down to 1, I'm just going to end my turn. I could have switched, but I think the best play at this point is letting Manaphy take the hit. And, okay, I mean, I guess my opponent top-decked a Energy Retrieval. He will be able to Scorched Earth, draw a couple more cards, but I mean, he's still at 3. So, unless he got a very good draw off of that, I'm in a phenomenal position to where all I need is like a Mega Turbo, which I run 4 of, and a... Mega Blastoise, which should be fine. So we do see the Steam Up from his Volcanion, and yeah, honestly, I'm in such a good spot. He goes for the Power Heater, does a whopping 50 damage to Manaphy, puts 2 energy on his Volcanion EX on the bench, and as much as I don't want to do this, I wish I had a Sycamore right now, because N is going to give him a free hand, which, I mean, we saw that he doesn't have, so all I need right here is a Mega Blastoise and a Mega Turbo to take a knockout, which is not a lot to ask for. Although apparently it's a little bit too much. Wow. So whiffed completely. What do I want to grab? Yeah, let's just grab that Sycamore. Honestly, like there's no other reason. And I could attack. And I think, do I want to Rapid Spin? Yeah, let's just go ahead and Rapid Spin. Get some damage off on the Volcanion. Didn't want to Rapid Spin. Shouldn't have had to Rapid Spin, but I did because I whiffed completely on both the Mega Blastoise and the Mega Turbo, and whiffed the Max Elixir earlier. So, a pretty unfortunate start for me. My opponent seems to have... Oh, wow, he got a lot. I mean, that N, I think, completely rejuvenated him. What's nice is that he now has a Volcanion EX active. Never mind, he has an Escape Rope, of course he does. And we'll just go back into the Blastoise on the bench. That does solve a little bit of the scenario where I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to attack next turn, because I would have to retreat and then hope for a Mega Turbo, which clearly is too much to ask for in this situation. Manaphy is still giving me that free retreat, so that is very, very nice to have. I already burned my switch for the game, so I don't know. We're in a good spot right here. My opponent taking his sweet time. I mean, I'm all for thinking about your moves, but it should not take a minute to go through Trainer's Mail. And he grabs the Acrobike. Okay, I mean, if you're looking for something, then you should definitely just like, okay, Trainer's Mail, see the Acrobike, grab the Acrobike, because it's all right out in front of you. He's just going to Acrobike. See what he gets. Well, I guess we won't be able to see what he gets. And my opponent is taking his sweet time with an Acrobike, which is 2 cards. Wow. And okay, alright, so we're good. We're good. I mean, my opponent is getting another Lucky Helmet down, so I will... Yeah, that N plus Lucky Helmet plus Scorched Earth really gave him plenty of cards to work with. He does get another Volcanion, a baby Volcanion down, and that's a situation where I wish I had Sycamore instead of N. But N is too good of a card to just pass up on completely, and there are situations where you're going to have N, so there's nothing you can do about it at that point except just keep attacking, I guess. And, okay, my opponent will Ultra Ball. Let's see what he grabs. I'm actually kind of curious what he'll grab. I mean, he could grab another Volcanion. He could grab a Volcanion EX or Baby Volcanion to potentially get more. Okay, so he has a Flareon in this deck, so it's a Flareon Volcanion. Yeah, I ran that initially, but I think overall the better version of the Volcanion deck is just the straight Baby Volcanion set up early, try to take as many knockouts as you can with Baby Volcanion, and then just go nuts from there. My opponent ends me, so I'm okay with this. I didn't like my hand that much to begin with. I mean, I liked it a lot better than this. Wow. No supporter, no nothing. I mean, at least I'll be able to attack with Blastoise. Maybe. Possibly. But my opponent looks like he is going to try to get a Flareon powered up. That tells me that I do need to get a Blastoise powered up on the bench, because this Blastoise, honestly, with the amount of steam ups and the amount that my opponent has been able to get going despite not having any form of Pokemon draw support, is telling me that he's going to be able to knock out this Blastoise whether I Mega it or not, which is kind of unfortunate because it's going to be like turn... What's it going to be? Turn 2, 3? Turn 3, and I'll finally have a Blastoise attacking. Oh, a Mega Blastoise attacking, and this deck is designed to attack turn 2. But, I mean, that does happen sometimes. If you're running a Mega deck, sometimes you just don't get the cards that you need. I mean, look at my deck with Venusaur. I had to discard 3 Mega Turbo super early before I was even able to get a Mega Venusaur up. So sometimes draws are just not on your side, and that's something you have to go with. Although I still think that we will be able to pull off this win against my opponent, despite him taking like 20 minutes per turn. Jeez, what is my opponent's... My opponent is already under... Yeah, my opponent is already under 19 minutes, so he has taken 6 minutes for his first 3 turns, which I think just a little bit too much, and there we go. That's what I like to see. So let's go ahead and play energy onto this Blastoise. Go ahead and max Elixir. Hit one of them. Nice. And get onto that Blastoise. Going to go ahead and Rough Seas, heal up some damage, and hopefully draw into the Hydro Bombard Mega Blastoise or something to do it. And, well, I draw a Mega Blastoise, but it's the wrong one. So let's go ahead and play that guy down. I mean, at the very least, I'll be able to go for a Dread Launcher, knock out this Volcanion, finally take a prize. Hopefully, don't get Tails, and of course we get Tails. I mean, that's how it works. That's how it always works. And maybe draw into something. Well, Blastoise Spirit Link, that works. And okay, so my opponent needs quite a bit. I guess he just needs an energy plus double steam up to knock out my Mega Blastoise, which unfortunately is not too much to ask for in this situation, especially with the way my opponent is drawing. I'm sure he'll be able to draw into it. And I mean, okay, so I legitimately can't tell if my opponent is an incredibly slow player or if he's lagging, because he's taking incredibly long per turn. So right now it took him that long to just attach an energy. So I mean, I guess that's a problem with TCGO. Sometimes it's reliant on, oh my gosh, why do you keep ending me? Well, okay, maybe I'll get a decent hand. maybe I'll get a decent hand. Good enough. I mean, if I can get a Mega Blastoise, if I can get my Hydro Bombard Mega Blastoise, then I should be in a pretty decent scenario, because then I'll be able to knock out my opponent's Flareon. And okay, we see one Steam Up. We saw the energy. Do we see another Steam Up? Because my opponent's gone through... Okay, of course he gets the double Steam Up as well. So, yeah, my opponent gets exactly what he wants again. So, slightly frustrating. Meanwhile, we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. But, I mean, that's what happens. It definitely happens. He does knock out the Blastoise, gets what he needs to do that. Takes a couple prizes. I'm going to promote this Blastoise and then pray that I can pull off something. Well, I get another water energy that is honestly not what I wanted to see. I would rather have gotten an Ultra Ball or something like that, but okay, so we get... Well, I didn't want any of that, so what I am just going to go ahead and do is VS Seeker, get the Sycamore. I could very well N, but I don't think that is the best choice in this situation. I need... Oh boy. So I do get an Ultra Ball, so let's go ahead and discard the Spirit Link and the VS Seeker for the Mega Blastoise. I just want to have the Mega Blastoise. Maybe I can... Come on, Mega Turbo. There we go. Okay, so we're finally in business. Took us long enough, but we are finally in business. Blastoise is going to be completely powered up, able to knock out this Flareon. And this is a situation where I kind of wish I was running Super Rod, because I'm going through quite a bit of energy at this point. I have quite a bit in the discard pile. I have a couple more... I mean, I have a couple on the Blastoise. I have 6 in the discard pile. I have 3 on my Mega Blastoise. That means I only have 2 energy left in the entire... Yeah, that means I only have 2 energy left in the entire deck, meaning that I'll have to maybe Rapid Spin for KOs or start Mineral Pumping or something like that. So, I mean, I'm regretting a little bit not having the Super Rod, but honestly, I think we are fine. And once again, my opponent is taking a day and a half to pick what Pokemon he wants to go into. So, I am at, I think, yeah, 21-28. Meanwhile, my opponent is at 16, 30, and decreasing. Let's see if he gets under 15 in this turn. Wow, he actually made a move within 30 seconds. That's big for him. I'm proud of him. He will be able to get a decent amount of damage on my Mega Blastoise with a potential Steam Up Power Heater, but if I can get a Hex Maniac, then I think I will be fine, because if I can shut off those Steam Ups, then I will win the game for sure, because 20 damage and then 130 just isn't enough, especially with Rough Seas in play. My opponent even has a Hex Maniac of his own. Honestly, doesn't make too big of a difference right now. I really do want the Hex Maniac. I have plenty of cards to be able to pull that off, and my opponent has gets another Volcanion, so maybe he'll be able to pull off the fabled 110 damage Steam Up, but we will have to see. He only has 4 cards, so I mean, I'm not thinking that there's too much in. Jeez. So I mean, my opponent is just sitting on his hand right now. He really is. Like, oh, there we go. He finally goes for the energy retrieval. Took him long enough, but there we go. We see a... So he's going to at least get a double Steam Up, which is going to do 80. Put me with Rough Seas at 50. Meaning that it'll take a double Steam Up from his Volcanion EXs on the bench to be able to knock me out with the attack from Volcanion EX. So I think my opponent just might be running out of too many resources at this point. So he energy retrievaled at some point, and now he's just... Oh, it took him another 30 seconds to go for a Steam Up, which, I mean, that's generally you play the energy retrieval and then immediately double Steam Up. And in quick succession, he does that. So, I mean, clearly my opponent's active. He's just taking a year and a day and running Pokemon Center Lady? That's weird. I mean, I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. I'll be able to knock it out with a Hydro Bombard. He is able to do 80 damage to my Mega Blastoise, but hopefully he just is out of resources at this point, because if he's not, then I'm in a whole heap of trouble. But let's go ahead and play the energy there. Go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the VS Seeker and the Rough Seas, and I need that Hex Maniac. I need the Hexmaniac or something. Unfortunately, it looks like my Lysander is prized, so let's go ahead and Shaman 4 or 5 cards, hopefully get something that we can work with. And we get nothing. Okay. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but what I can do is... So what I think... So, I mean, I know I'm taking a little bit of time right now looking at my discard pile, checking to see what I have. But what I can immediately do, go ahead and Mega Turbo... Go ahead and Mega Turbo onto my active Blastoise, Energy Switch onto my Blastoise on the bench. That way I have at least 120 damage waiting for next turn. I mean, that's all I need. I don't have the attachment. I am just going to end, get some more cards. I mean, it gives my opponent a hand of 4. Now there's the Hexmaniac. A little bit too late, but at this point I have a Shaman, so if my opponent manages to knock out this Mega Blastoise next turn, I have another energy in my deck. And even if I don't draw it, I can just Hexmaniac him, so he will not be able to knock me out. So let's go ahead and just put 30 and 30 onto the baby Volcanion and another Volcanion. Really completely inconsequential at this point, because I have all that I have everything set up that I need, and also my opponent will only be able to get he'll be able to Rough Seize off the 30 damage on his Volcanion EXs, and baby Volcanion won't get knocked out anytime soon because I'll be one-shotting anything that he could possibly bring out due to the water weakness. But either way, I think we're fine. He still does need a double Steam Up plus another energy in order to knock out my Mega Blastoise, so he needs 3 energy. And of course he's slow rolling it again. Took him about 30 seconds to click Rough Seize to heal the damage. And honestly, yeah, okay, so he's down to half of his timer, which I've rarely, if ever, seen somebody drop below 15. I mean, if you drop below 15, then that takes a while. Then that means you took a while. But my opponent, the game isn't even over yet, and he's already below 12:30, which is like, okay now. But takes him 15 seconds to play down a Volcanion, and he is just sitting on his hand right now. I mean, honestly, I don't know what necessarily he could be thinking about. Okay, so he has to attach an energy, and he has to... I don't understand what took so long right there. I really don't, because play down a Volcanion... I mean, okay, the decision to play down a Volcanion, I understand that. But you have to attach an energy to the active Volcanion, and you have to have 2 energy to be able to double Steam Up. So either way, you're going to have to do that. Okay, my opponent didn't have it. I don't understand what was taking so long about that turn. I'm just going to Hexmaniac. I mean, he took so long, so I might as well just be that guy. Hydro Bombard. Put damage onto the other 2 Volcanions. And finally, we are done. That was one of the longest matches I've ever had, and I barely even dropped below 20. I mean, that was a very long match. That was a 6-turn match, and my opponent took over 12 minutes to... So he took over 2 minutes per turn. Understandable. Meanwhile, I took about 50 seconds per turn. So, I mean, that's right around what it was. We were able to come through, Mega Blastoise able to just overpower his Volcanion deck, albeit a little bit slower than I would have liked. But honestly, this was the clunkiest I've ever had this deck be, and that's just because we didn't draw the right things at the right time, which happens with any deck. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry about complaining a little bit about that guy taking a while. It's just, when I'm trying to record, I don't have time for 20-minute matches all the time, so I apologize for that. I hope you guys still enjoyed nonetheless. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff, and this is Styx, signing out. Why not? See you guys.